Carlos asked, "Why has the Predator taken over in this fashion that you're describing, Don Juan? There must be a logical explanation. They took over because we're food for them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance."
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? Matrix. Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
The brain is a product of the mind. All of your body, including your brain, is a projection of the mind, resulting from the assemblage of what could be called the package of human information, or the human assemblage. Your information assemblage is slightly different from any other humans because your information package has different contents. Because your package of human assemblage is different, the experience you project into reality will be different from that of any other being. Your mind is your assembler. It assembles the bands of information, the bands of awareness that create and project your reality.
It's the inorganic beings that is crushing the life force out of the human.
The Predator has devised to control humanity by hacking into our minds. It controls us by hacking into our information assemblage. By hacking our minds, they have been able to place us into their version of a chicken coop for humans. You are being preyed upon. You are being raised for food like cattle in the cage of your mind. Because your mind is controlled, you are not even aware of what is happening. There is no doubt of this. Predation is the prime directive for survival in this matrix that you find yourself in. Consume to survive. Avoid consumption to survive. Survive or be disassembled.
The Enslavement of Souls and the Archon Gatekeepers. By Edward Morgan. Unfortunately, we are not free. We haven't been free for a few thousand years. We have overlords, trans-dimensional beings who have invaded Earth many thousands of years ago. In the ancient legends, they are known as the gods. The Gnostics knew of them as the archons. Don Juan called them the predators. They are our overlords, and they have constructed a matrix, or false covering of illusions, to cover the earth, which keeps us captive. We have been mind-controlled, brainwashed and hypnotized to believe these illusions to be reality. They consider us their herd, and they feed off of us. That is the predicament we find ourselves in.
Is this reality, this infinity, is teeming with different expressions of life, and some of it's interacting with us. This reality that we're experiencing has been hijacked by a force that some ancient people call archons, but there's different names right across the ancient world for the same force, the same entities. This is when the penny drops, when all these different names for the gods all over the world turn out to be different names for the same force, because they're described in the same way. And all over the world you see this. In the Far East, Central America, and other places, they're known as the serpent gods. The Finns call them the Chitahuri, the children of the serpent. They're the Anunnaki in Sumer, Babylon, now Iraq. There are slave brothers to the Hopi people of North America. They're the Star people, many examples of that. They are the demons of Christianity. To the Gnostics, they are archons. And to the Islamic and pre-Islamic world, they're called the jinn. And in their prime form, they are energetic in nature, but they can take forms I will talk about. So, as I say, they're described so much in the same way, because they're different names for the same thing. So, the Gnostic people, not the Christian Gnostics, the pre-Christian Gnostics, that ran the Great Library at Alexandria, and they also manifested as the Cathars in southern France. They say that the archons are made from luminous fire. The jinn, according to Islamic and pre-Islamic belief, are made from smokeless fire. And you see this correlation of description wherever you go. Now this, for me, was one of the great finds ever in terms of understanding the nature of what is happening. At Nag Hammadi in Egypt, about 77 miles north of Luxor on the Nile, in 1945, a sealed jar was found with loads and loads of documents in it, leather bound. And they told the beliefs and the perceptions of this people called the Gnostics. And the Gnostics had a completely different view of reality.
Author and anthropologist Carlos Castaneda made a lifelong study of the art of awareness under the tutelage of shaman Don Juan Matus. Don Juan taught Carlos about the realities that an awake person must face. He taught Carlos that the predators consumed the glowing code of awareness that all humans are born with. With the loss of full awareness, the human race became easy, ignorant livestock to their masters. Most all remain ignorant of their plight and ignorant of how humanity is formed to this day. He taught Carlos that the predators were also called flyers because of the way that a trained sorcerer could see them flitting around.
Of good and evil, our social mores. They are the ones who set up our hopes and expectations and dreams of success or failure. They have given us covetousness, greed, cowardness. It is the predators who make us complacent, routinary, and egomaniacal. Carlos asked, how do they do this? Do they whisper all that in our ears while we are asleep? No, they don't do it that way. That's idiotic, Don once said, smiling. They are infinitely more effective and organized than that. In order to keep us obedient and meek and weak, the predators engage themselves in a stupendous maneuver. Stupendous, of course, from the point of view of a fighting strategist. A horrendous maneuver from the point of view of those who suffer it. They gave us their mind. Do you hear me? The predators gave us their mind, which becomes our mind. The predator's mind is baroque, contradictory, morose, filled with the fear of being discovered any minute now. Through the mind, which, after all, is their mind, the predators inject into the lives of human beings whatever is convenient for them.
It disguises its thoughts as your thoughts. Its feelings as your feelings.
The flyer's mind is the edge of darkness, the emergence of doubt, the edge of the campfire light, somewhere beyond the circle of the known, where the light protrudes into the darkness. The flyer's mind is the thing which pins us to the spot. It is the barrier of perception. It is our self-pity, our indulgence, our self-importance. It keeps us in the place of not knowing. Human form is the illusion. Everything which flows forth from human form is as a result of our self-reflection. All rules, everything which inhibits or restricts our true nature is an aspect of human form. Once we enter the kingdom of the unknown, the forces we experience there for an instant seem somehow malevolent or benign. But this duality is born of our flyer's mind, the thing that brings us back to reason. The flyers are an essential part of the universe, and they must be taken as what they really are: awesome and monstrous. They are the means by which the universe tests us. We are energetic probes created by the universe, he continued, as if he were oblivious to my presence. And it's because we are possessors of energy that has awareness that we are the means by which the universe becomes aware of itself. The flyers are the implacable challengers. They cannot be taken as anything else. If we succeed in doing that, the universe will allow us to continue.
It's the inorganic beings that is crushing the life force out of the human.
Why has this predator taken over in the fashion that you're describing, Don Juan? I asked. There must be a logical explanation. There is an explanation, Don Juan replied, which is the simplest explanation in the world. They took over because we are food for them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Just as we rear chickens in chicken coops, galineros, the predator rears us in human coops, humaneros. Therefore, their food is always available to them. I felt that my head was shaking violently from side to side. I could not express my profound sense of unease and discontent, but my body moved to bring it to the surface. I shook from head to toe without any volition on my part. I heard myself saying, "No, no, no, no. This is absurd, Don Juan. What you're saying is something monstrous. It simply can't be true for sorcerers, or for average men, or for anyone." "Why not?" Don Juan asked calmly. "Why not? Because it infuriates you?" "Yes, it infuriates me," I retorted. "Those claims are monstrous." "Well," he said, "you haven't heard all the claims yet. Wait a bit longer and see how you feel. I'm going to subject you to a blitz. That is, I'm going to subject your mind to tremendous onslaughts. And you cannot get up and leave because you're caught. Not because I'm holding you prisoner, but because something in you will prevent you from leaving, while another part of you is going to go truthfully berserk. So brace yourself." There was something in me which I felt was a glutton for punishment. He was right. I wouldn't have left the house for the world. And yet I didn't like one bit the inanities he was spouting. Don Juan said, "I want to appeal to your analytical mind. Think for a moment and tell me how you would explain the contradiction between the intelligence of man the engineer and the stupidity of his systems of beliefs, or the stupidity of his contradictory behavior. Sorcerers believe that the predators have given us our system of beliefs, our ideas of good and evil, our social mores. The predators are the ones who set up our hopes and expectations, and dreams and successes or failure. They have given us covetousness, greed, and cowardice. It is the predators who make us complacent, routinary, and egomaniacal.
The basic building blocks for this prison is thought. The ego creates a constant stream of dialogue in our heads. It is this programming that the average person runs their life on. Get rid of the ego and the matrix will fall.
Possible, but we're not dealing with the physical. We're dealing with information. That world is an information construct which we decode into a lovely world. This is an information construct which we decode into the world that we have today. What is fear? Lunch to these people. They are feeding off all this emotion and low vibrational energy. And that's why the pressure is to create events all the time that produce more, and against going the other way that produce less. And so this scene in the Matrix was very much in line with what I'm talking about. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world built to keep us under control in order to change the human being into one of these. And on one level, that's what we are. Generators of distorted emotional energy. And you know, you talk to alternative healers and people on the true cutting edge of healing, and they'll tell you that virtually every illness is based in emotion. Because emotion creates energetic distortions, not only to be absorbed by these entities, this distortion, but also to be trapped in the body, which manifests then as dis-ease, disharmony in the body caused by emotion. So Carl Sagan's bamboozle is really the inversion of the natural order, which is why this world is turned on its head. Wherever you look, it's an inversion of what not just we would like it to be, but an inversion of the original reality that it replaced. And this is one reason why you get Satanists and stuff like that using inverted symbols for their symbolic language. Everything is inverted for the reasons I'm talking about. And I've used this quote before, but how much more relevant is it now from Michael Elner? Just look at us. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Doctors destroy health. Lawyers destroy justice. Universities destroy knowledge. Governments destroy freedom. The major media destroy information. And religions destroy spirituality. Inversion everywhere. And these expressions of this archontic force are genetic liars, because lying is an inversion of truth. And this archontic energetic inversion, distortion, is not in this reality in form, although it can be, as I'll come to, but it exists in a reality very close to this one. And the idea is to distort our reality more and more so it starts to blend and combine and come together with theirs. They are seeking to turn this reality into an extension of their reality. And they're seeking to bring their reality into ours by syncing their frequency. The Golden Age society, the way it's described, and again in the way the Avatar movie portrayed that society, was a heart society. This was the point from which they interacted with the world, the heart, which allowed them to experience reality outside the bounds of time and space. When you come from the heart, you don't do hatred. The heart doesn't hate. The heart doesn't seek to destroy. And so this inversion was about taking the point of interaction with the world from the point of love, heart, into the emotions. And how do we see now our society and how people interact with it from the level of emotional response and emotional reaction instead of here? And when that moves to that we interact with the world here, the world dramatically changes. And so, like I said earlier, with this heart coherence with the central nervous system and the brain, once we get into this, we start to disconnect from the heart, disconnect from beyond time and space, and start to have this as the governor of our perception. And if you take it in a computer game terms, the idea is to pull us into the lowest level where this archontic force works from. Now, these Gnostic writings have been estimated to have been buried in that sealed jar between about 350 and 400 AD, which corresponds with the destruction of the great library of Alexandria run by Gnostic thinkers. But it's suggested that they were possibly written about 100 AD. In those documents, all that time ago, best part of 2,000 years, they say that the archons can take form, and the main forms they take are reptilian entities and those known today as greys.
Ago, and changed the course of mankind forever. They came to Earth from the depths of the cosmos because we are food for them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Just as we raise chickens in chicken coops, the flyers raise us in a human coop, so their food is always available to them. Flyers are a predator that has taken over the rule of the lives of mankind. Human beings are its prisoners. The predator is our lord and master. It has rendered us docile, helpless, through a genius form of mind control. In order to keep us obedient and meek and weak, the predators gave us their mind, which becomes our mind. Through this mind subversion, the predators inject into the lives of human beings whatever is convenient for them. This ensures them a degree of security, that they can keep us constantly distracted with the troubles of our daily lives.
These overlords have recruited many minions to keep us in line. In the past, there were the royal bloodlines and priests which acted as the minions. Today we have the same scenario, but the royal bloodlines are hidden as heads of states. The high priests are no longer found only in the traditional religions, but have found their way into New Age and as spiritual teachers. These 13 families rule the world, the shadow forces behind the NWO. And of course this all branches out into banking, corporations, the military and police, etc. On the spiritual side you have all of the fundamentalist followers of the religions and sects. We also have the social and cultural leaders that do their part to keep the herds in line. We have the people's champions who steer sections of society to where they are wanted. They have been hypnotized into believing that the artificial world they live in is real. They see anyone that wants to expose the truth as the enemy. So you see that anytime someone speaks the truth, they are immediately slandered as tin hat wearing crazy conspiracy nuts. So because most people believe in the illusion, they gladly protect it. They fight and die to uphold the very prison in which they exist. These minions are the gatekeepers, and their jobs are to keep us from finding the gate, the doorway to true freedom from their prison. So they will lead us astray, far away from the gate.
With a glowing coat, something like a plastic cover that is adjusted tightly over their cocoon of energy. Man is the only species that has this glowing coat of awareness on the outside of their luminous cocoon, making us easy prey for the flyers. That glowing coat of awareness is what the predators consume, and that by the time a human reaches adulthood, all that is left of that glowing coat of awareness is a narrow fringe that goes from the ground to the top of the toes. That fringe permits mankind to continue living, but only barely. This narrow fringe of awareness where mankind is irremediably caught. By playing on our self-reflection, which is the only point of awareness left to us, the predators create flares of awareness that they proceed to consume in a ruthless, predatory fashion. They give us programs that force those flares of awareness to rise, and in this manner, they keep us alive, in order for them to be fed with the energetic flare of our daily pseudo-concerns. I think you get the picture. The thought of being constantly fed upon, and that our own thoughts are put there by an alien force, is a very jagged pill to swallow. But there is a way to overcome this predator, which has stolen our magical heritage, and that's discipline. Discipline makes our glowing code of awareness unpalatable to the predator. By discipline, I mean specifically the discipline of inner silence. The monkey mind, constantly chattering in our head, is not our own. If we practice inner silence and make the monkey shut up, we become inedible to the predator, and our glowing code of awareness eventually grows back to its rightful size. Tremendous maneuvers of perception then become a matter of course. We can drive the predator away. Practice internal silence, my friends. Meditate.
Do you want to know what it is? It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
We humans do fancy ourselves as the top of the food chain. We feel that we are mostly safe from predators known and unknown. Could it be true that unseen entities are using humans for food as their cattle, the way we carelessly use animals to sustain ourselves? Could it be that the fences, cages, and coops that they use to corral us are programs placed within our minds? Imagine if humans could find a way to program their livestock to stay in place without fences. Would we do it? Isn't it rather naive to think that in all the cosmos there is no entity that could not thrive upon the consumption of human energies? What can we do to protect ourselves from this possibility? Is it even possible to fight back at what we cannot even see? Are we a lost cause because so few can understand what has happened? It is not easy to break out of the egoic fences that our masters have built around us. It is not easy to step away from self-identities that have so stealthily been crafted to control us. It is not easy to step away from the false ego identity that is built up throughout your life. It is not easy to separate Maya or illusion from reality. It is not easy to contemplate that we are a captive species, maintained for the nourishment of another, more advanced species. You can learn from those like Castaneda. I highly recommend Castaneda's books, and I have Amazon links in the description below. You have an implant in your mind of endless wants, thoughts, desires, and needs. The predator's mind is a foreign implant. It is their mind. It is the mind of the fear, greed, anger, desires, and hate. These are the emotional energies that they feed upon. Your true mind is in your heart. It is the mind of peace, joy, compassion, love, and understanding. These emotional energies have no value to the predator. Make what you will of this perceptual shift deep into the twilight zone. Reality is not what you think it is. Reality is what you are. Thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment. Stay safe and be aware.